So this afternoon, we celebrate another milestone, our recommendation for a literacy program. We want to give you a window into our journey this year, seen through the lenses of many different roles, perspectives, and experiences, all coming together with one shared purpose, supporting every child as a reader and a writer. The quote captures our journey well. It reminds us that through our shared commitment, trust, and collaboration, we have not only navigated change, we have grown stronger because of it. That strength didn't happen by chance. It was built through intentional learning, reflection, and a willingness to try something new. This year, we had a unique luxury of piloting a year-long pilot. It gave us the opportunity to dive deeply into two curricula, building a stronger understanding of both instructional shifts and methodology and the tools needed to support them effectively. This experience went well beyond simply reviewing curriculum materials. Our shared vision and common vision strengthened us as a professional learning community. This was truly a team effort, and it was the collaboration that made this pilot successful and led to a program recommendation we can confidently stand behind. The Hollywood award season has nothing on us. I'd like to take a moment to recognize some of the incredible educators who played an essential role in this pilot, some of whom are here tonight, beginning with the piloteers. They took on a heavy lift of implementing a new curriculum under the watchful eyes of many stakeholders. They leaned into vulnerability, openly sharing their thoughts, experiences, and best practices. They welcomed peers and administrators into their classrooms, creating spaces for transparency and trust. When the work felt overwhelming or frustrating, they lifted one another up. And just as importantly, they celebrated each other's successes along the way. Throughout this journey, their voices grew stronger as their confidence deepened. And that's when the real magic happened. Their joy and engagement became contagious, inspiring all around them. We also learned a great deal from our non-piloteers. Their insights and perspectives have been invaluable as we think ahead to full implementation next year, helping us refine our approach and ensure we are meeting the needs of all learners and educators. To the ELT 2.0, who picked up right where the original ELT left off. I'm forgetting the beautiful pictures of all of these. So I'll slow down. They have been integral in communicating the vision, sharing insights, and ensuring that everyone feels informed, supported, and empowered throughout this journey. To the literacy team, who has been learning alongside their colleagues while providing essential support to both students and staff, helping to ensure instructional practices are strong and consistent across classrooms. To the leaders, who are the keepers of the vision, and our steering committee worked tirelessly to refine and create the structures and systems needed to support the piloteers, allowing them to focus on what mattered most, meeting the needs of the students. As they guided this work, their instructional leadership grew stronger, learning and evolving alongside their staff every step of the way. I also want to take a moment to recognize the many individuals who play such an important supporting role in this work. To the families and caregivers, thank you for your partnership and for trusting us with your children and this process. And to our school committee, both past and present, and the broader community for your continued support and the belief in this process. And with that strong foundation in place, there is no better way to bring this journey to life than to hear directly from those who lived it each day. Now I'll turn it over to the main attraction, the wonderful educators here tonight, who will share the highlights of this year and the important, valuable lessons learned along the way. So I'm going to turn it over to Melissa. Oh, hello there.
Just press it.
You can just go.
Okay. As you know, we have had a journey and we are in year 2 of piloting programs, and getting our parameters set, thinking about what we are doing, and that's where we are right now. And tonight, our final curriculum decision has been made, and we will be recommending something to you all. We have a lot of school data that we collected this year. As you can see, this is a slide that you've seen in the fall as well of all of the stakeholders whose voices were present in CES's compiled report, which I believe you all have. And so we had classroom observations, survey data, informal data, walkthrough data from both piloteers, non-piloteers, families and caregivers, students in the form of focus groups and surveys. Anyone involved was part of this process. And so this is from the report directly. It's about who responded to the surveys and how many observations and the exact numbers that came into play. And I will say that I think it's really remarkable that 89% of our elementary workforce completed the summative survey to give feedback. So that to me shows that everyone is invested and ready to share their feedback to move us forward. We also did look at student work in a small sample amongst fourth grade writing, and those essays were scored across all 6 raters. And so, without further ado, I don't know how to. This is truly a treat.
This is our debut.
The CES audit revealed the need for a more consistent approach for teaching literacy across the district, one that was evidence-based and grounded in research. The ELT was formed.
Together, they started a journey where there was learning, exploring a wide range of curriculum options, and crafting a literacy vision.
They evaluated potential curricular tools, narrowing the choice down to 2: arts and letters and EL education.
During their journey, piloteers attended PD sessions, learning the theory of a knowledge-building curriculum. They unpacked the materials and modules, shifted their instructional practices, and then shared that journey with their colleagues through grade level and faculty meetings and classroom site visits.
During that time, ELT 2.0 collaborated to support the pilot implementation and planning for next year.
Like, it's real fun for a teacher to learn with us and have a new system that actually, like, it's fun, and it's like, when we get in there, it's like, we're gonna have to work hard. It helped me improve my reading, writing, and listening skills.
We write paragraphs and write about poems and describe how they write them. The books that we've read have been so interesting and very hard to put down.
We write paragraphs and we read the stories, and it's just like relaxing. We get to learn a lot about like different things all around the world.
One of the things that I've learned from the book Esperanza Rising is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and what are the things that are in them.
The Hidatsa had to live on a reservation. The law was not. The government sold the land to settlers, and the settlers did not know how to take care of the prairie. And then, after a little while, the government gave the land back to the Native Americans. We get to write informational paragraphs. You can gain a lot of knowledge and learn all sorts of things. I've learned about frogs, more facts. I've learned about gravity more and what it does to humans.
What's your favorite part?
I like to talk. I've learned some things about different people, like Galileo on the Apollo 11 mission.
I want you to look really closely at these telescopes and discuss these questions with your partner. What do you notice about the telescopes from the photographs? And how are they different from Galileo's telescope?
This may be the greatest ELA curriculum in the world. It teached me so much, and I had a lot of fun doing this curriculum.
I rated a 9 out of 10.
What was it, 8 out of 10? 9. It was 9. 9.
We spent months watching our students grow. While both paths showed us great things, one specific journey aligned most closely with our district's long-term goals for student literacy. We didn't just pick a product, we chose a partner for the next decade of teaching.
No matter which program was chosen, we knew Winchester would win.
The choice was difficult because the quality of the pilot teaching was so high across the board.
So as you can see, the stakeholders are all recommending that Winchester Public Schools adopts arts and letters K-5 for our elementary literacy curriculum. In terms of what that looked like in the data, 100% of the piloteers who piloted arts and letters recommended arts and letters be our program. 96% of those recommended it with no hesitation, 4% with reservation. The survey did not capture what the reservations were. Of the non-piloteers who completed the survey, again, 97% recommended arts and letters. That split was slightly different. 60% recommended it without reservation, 40% with reservation. Of all the survey respondents who filled it in for arts and letters, they all recommended adoption of arts and letters. While EL was a strong program and a strong contender, the feedback was a bit more mixed. Of the piloteers who recommended it, there were only 20% of piloteers who recommended it, 40% with reservation, and 40% of piloteers trying EL did not recommend its adoption. Of the survey respondents who did EL, 74% did not recommend adopting EL. So when we looked at all of that data that you saw earlier, the overwhelming recommendation, while both programs were very strong, was arts and letters. And I'm going to turn it over to the school leaders. Great. Do you want to start?
Apparently, I'm elected to begin. I think you shut it off, Andrea.
I did. Do you not?
You don't press it.
Okay.
Do press it one more time. But you have to press it back on.
Got it. Thank you very much. All right, so our literacy vision, I'm going to give you a moment to sit with this, to really look at it, because this is our grounding principles. This is what we, at every meeting, reflected upon, thought about, sat with, and made sure that all of our decisions were centered around this. Show me if you need another second to read it. Awesome job, everyone. So we're going to begin with the principals, the leaders of the buildings. We have been in this journey with all of you this entire time, and we respect and admire all of the work you have done. And we want to talk to you a little bit about what our highlights were and what we considered to be a little challenging at times, because this was not an easy task. But I'll begin with something that sat with me after reading through the report. And this is a quote. "Through a thoughtful pilot process, Winchester has found a curriculum that its teachers believe in, that its students are responding to, and that gives the district a strong foundation for the years ahead. Because as we know, not one program is ever going to be perfect for every student that comes through Winchester. But collectively, we wholeheartedly believe after this journey that we have made the best choice.
Ella and I are going to share a few highlights from our journey. So during this whole process, we collaborated a lot across buildings, within our buildings, grade level meetings, faculty meetings. We spent a lot of time working on this program, figuring out which program we were going to choose, and it was great. Great experience for me anyway. I don't know about you guys. There was a lot of time where we were able to visit schools. So as leaders, we visited other schools. As teachers, they visited other schools, and not just the piloteers, non-piloteers were able to go to see the programs and be able to see them in action and ask questions and give their feedback. So that was, a great experience as well.
Through this journey, and then going to different classrooms and talking to different piloteers, we were really able to see the equity and the parity. We were able to see how this program was really universally designed to create engagement that was universal. So we saw great participation, student discourse, conversations, and this was across all levels. It wasn't just the higher level, the upper grade levels. Even in kindergarten, we were able to hear these conversations. They would do their little museum walks and just authentically talking about what they noticed and the cow that they adopted and figurative language. They were talking about figurative language in kindergarten. And then they were talking, we knew that in fourth grade, they were also talking about figurative language. So it was so amazing to see how this bar was set high, but there was also this spiral that continued upward and everything connected. And for me, one of the things that stood out was when we were, after the visits, we would get back together as a group, and Melissa and some of the literacy specialists would discuss things with the piloteers and those observing. And we, of course, one of the comments was about engagement. And in this observation, we were able to see one unit, but each classroom of the three were on different parts of the lesson. So, one was at the very, lesson 1, and it was a little more teacher-driven. And then the second was on lesson 2. And they were in small groups talking and having a Socratic circle, I believe. And then the third group was just out there. I think they were doing a video or something. I can't remember, but that was exciting, right? And so one of the teachers was like, well, yeah, there was engagement. And some, it seemed like they were more engaged. And then one of the other teachers said, well, actually, I think it was universal engagement. There was not one student who wasn't participating. And engagement doesn't mean you're just always excited. It means that you're invested in the learning. And they were invested in the learning, all of the students. And it was so exciting to see that. And then one of the other teachers said, but not just the students were excited, the teachers, the piloteers are back here talking to us about how excited they are to teach and how much they've grown and how they love teaching literacy now. So, we got to see so much enthusiasm and engagement across the board. And so that was another one of the highlights.
Thank you. So the highlights are too numerable to mention, and so it's not an exhaustive list up on that screen. And we also learned some really important lessons. And I'm going to start with the bottom lesson on our list, which is scheduling. We learned early on the importance of scheduling and the impact that it had throughout our school day. So that will be a challenge that we're going to work on as a leadership team district-wide to make sure that we are holding our core instructional time at least an hour for that core instructional time, and then other components of literacy time throughout the day as well. So that will be a challenge. We learned a lot of lessons this year, and we will continue to navigate through that next year. We also learned that equity is important. Every student should have similar experiences from classroom to classroom and school to school. And so that was a profound lesson, I think, for all of us that experienced portions of the pilot this year. We learned the value of ongoing, continuous, and professional development. I think there's not one person in the district that could say that the professional development was an imperative for all of us, piloteers and non-piloteers. We all engaged in quite a bit of professional development this year. And then last but not least, I think we've heard this quote before, and I'm going to re-quote. I think it was maybe Tom that said it. This is the low-hanging fruit, or perhaps that was Stephanie Grimaldi. The curriculum is important, but the real magic is in what those classroom teachers are doing and how they're supporting students and they're learning each and every day. So that was a lesson that I think we knew going into this process. It was simply reinforced as we went through this pilot.
Hi. This just gives you a really brief snapshot of some. Oh, sorry, I'll introduce myself. I'm Lily Dutra. I teach 4th grade at Lincoln, and I am one of the piloteers. This gives you just a brief snapshot of some final products from various modules that were completed. There's some writing pieces, some art pieces, and if you look to the far left, that's actually 2 parents from one of our classrooms that came in to do an activity with the students. They both work in the medical field, so it was a really great way to tie in the information that they learned throughout the module and then have that actual experience in the classroom. And then to the far left is an art project that they did with our art teacher. She was able to look at the module and do kind of a cross-curriculum experience for them as well. And the bottom right just goes into some drawings that they did. I believe this was module 1, and it focused all on what it means to have a great heart. So they focused on the literal meaning and the figurative meaning.
So we were really excited. I'm Erin McCoy, and I teach 4th grade at Lincoln. So we were really excited to be selected as piloteers. So when we were thinking about how the impact of this program on our teaching lives, we thought about what a difference a knowledge building curriculum can make. So we're moving away from teaching isolated skills as we have for many years, and this is really an opportunity to root their learning in meaningful practice. So for example, we were talking about the circulatory story. The students spent a lot of time studying the actual circulatory system, which we were also learning as well. And they read a text that's actually written by a local author from Somerville, Jeff Checkeye. And so that's how they studied the literal heart. And then we spent some time reading Love That Dog by Sharon Creech. So then they studied how a figurative great heart. And it's just a brilliant, smart curriculum. And I can speak to that all students are invested in the conversations. They were just so enthusiastic. And I can honestly say that we all, students and teachers, know a lot more about the circulatory system after that unit.
Hi, Meg Bradford, and I also teach 4th grade at Lincoln. I want to talk about the elevated student engagement. So I've been teaching at Lincoln for 20 years, so I've been through a lot of different curriculums and a lot of different materials to teach literacy. And I think I say to Ella all the time, I actually love teaching literacy now. I feel like I know what I'm doing matters with them, and it's making a difference. And I think that's been one of the noticeable impacts that we've had with this curriculum. The students are eagerly raising their hand. They're immersed in compelling topics. We've studied works of art like the Gross Clinic by Dr. Samuel Gross. We were
talking about Greek myths and mythology, to talk about the many modern words that we use today were embedded in Greek. And the students, you oftentimes have to say, okay, we need to move on. Like, they just want to talk so much about a topic that we're studying. They're eager to share their ideas, whether it's a whole class discussion. We've done small group work. They do something called a tableau, where they'll reenact a scene from a painting or a scene in a book. We're reading The Invention of Hugo Cabret right now, and they've had to reenact a couple scenes. And so it's been really nice and exciting to see their interest. I had a student today say, wow, I actually really like literacy now. And it was such a huge shift from where we started, just because of the rigor of the program that we are doing. Was a little bit of a shock to when we first started, but we are in the routine, and I think it really captures their voices and how they feel about literacy now.
I'm Nicole Gleason. I'm the special educator in 4th grade. So very simply put, it's a game changer. This is the first year that I felt truly a part of the team. One of our goals was that when we were observed, that you wouldn't know who was a special ed teacher and who was the classroom teacher. And I feel like we succeeded in that. The curriculum is so smart and done in such a cohesive way that it allows for us to plan seamlessly. And it's really nice for me because I feel like students who require some extra support are receiving the curriculum on such like an equitable base. And so it's really nice to see that everyone has experienced the same curriculum and is having the same outcomes.
Me again. I was just going to talk about the increased rigor of this curriculum. One of the things that I noticed right off the bat was the students are truly doing the heavy lifting throughout each lesson, and they often are doing it without even realizing. So when it comes down to their end of module tasks, they have all of the knowledge, all of the skills that they've built over time, and they are all so successful. And with that, it is truly all accessible to all students. They are on the same level playing field at all times. And I do feel that Arts and Letters is very intentional, and it's designed to build rigor over time. They engage with complex text and ideas. They are thinking critically and making connections. And lastly, their writing is incredible. We just completed a writing task, and to see where they came from to where they are now, it's remarkable.
Sorry, you got one.
I don't mean to hog the mics. Just kidding. But I will. So we're also in kindergarten, and what a great lead-in, because writing is also something that we've seen an amazing shift with Arts and Letters. And it's actually what we were going to start with as one of our highlights. But just to echo for 4th grade, that even playing field is a huge part for kindergarten as well. The enthusiasm about the books has been one of our huge, the texts that we have shared with our kiddos has been amazing. I mean, the hardcover books we pull out that they are interacting with and going in to look for evidence and has just been remarkable. The choices, and it's in one of our slides coming up, has been remarkable. They love it. Some of the characters have become almost parts of our classroom. I mean, they'll say, this is just like Junius G, who was the potato king from, and he's almost part of our classroom. But the writing, we were a little concerned, would it be enough because of the frequency of the writing is such a shift from what we were used to. We just finished Module 2, and the writing that they're doing to go along with it's such a gradual release, and it's so scaffolded, but they are just writing, they're farming, they're writing beginning, middle, and end independently, and it's remarkable. And yes, and we've been teaching. I've been teaching kindergarten for 25 years, and I have never seen writing like this before. And the enthusiasm, not to mention the connection. We started with the 5 senses, and early on,
they were coming in from the weekend. Memories were, so I was at the apple farm and I used my sense of sight. I used my sense of smell, and they were just coming back with these connections. Dinner table memories where parents were sharing. So they right away were invested in the program. And I agree with someone said it's very intentional. They designed this program very intentionally, and it's very much building, as Ella said, you see the connections from grade levels. We were lucky enough with professional development to see the from K to 5, and seeing what it does from each grade level was a very meaningful professional development for us. And seeing where the writing goes step by step across grade level was really helpful for us. And I know we were concerned about the writing because it didn't start off right away, which was very developmentally appropriate. It wouldn't and it shouldn't. And now here we are in March, and we're so pleased with what they're writing, and it's really exciting to see. So the enthusiasm is a little bit, we have to pull me back a little, so I won't take too much time, but they've learned how to, not only with reading and writing, but they really pay close attention to speaking and listening, which is a huge skill. And the way they give that the time it deserves is so, that's a skill that they have. The upper grades are going to be so impressed with what they have. They know now how to talk, turn and talk in a way that I have never seen, we have never seen kids be able to do.
Stay on topic.
And stay on topic, which is really hard for 5-year-olds. But when you now ask, we're going to work on this speaking and listening goal, kids will say, speak loud enough so others will hear. Stay on topic. Like, it's a skill because it's a very consistent program, and you practice these skills each time. And that's something that is built into the curriculum, and I really respect that has been part of the program too. So those are all skills that they have made part of the program, and in a very even part of the program, as well as reading and writing. Speaking and listening is an important part too. So that's one highlight for us.
And then another highlight is
sorry.
That's okay. I'm Sarah Cummings. I'm a kindergarten teacher at Morocco. Another highlight for us has been the literacy community that it's helped us build of critical thinkers. Like Melissa was mentioning, some of the shared experiences that we've had have transferred over. For example, when we were talking about the 5 senses, we went on a nature walk and they used their 5 senses. And then, out at recess, they'll be doing the same thing and kind of connecting in that way, which has been awesome. The deep connections to characters, you would think they're a part of our classroom, the way that they were reading another book and they're like, oh, that reminds me of Junius G, or that reminds me of this other character. So it's been amazing to see how they take what we're doing in arts and letters and apply it throughout the day as well. And then they have a really deep understanding of the central ideas of text. So it's something that we talk about, but then also they can apply it to the larger theme of the unit. So they can say how each book that we've read connects back to the farm or the 5 senses, which has been, again, for 5-year-olds, just incredible to see.
Hi, I'm Barbara Carolino. I'm a multilingual learner teacher at Morocco, teaching grades K through 5. This year I've had the opportunity to pilot Arts and Letters with kindergarten and EL education with the 2nd grade team at Morocco. Through Arts and Letters, we collectively have had a refreshed approach to building communication skills for our students. Since Arts and Letters is based on content topics, but also the WIDA English language standards, as Melissa mentioned, speaking and listening skills are explicitly taught and repeatedly practiced. And this benefits not only our multilingual learners, but all students. I mean, our kindergartners, our youngest learners are having amazing academic conversations. They are turning and talking respectfully. They are participating in Socratic seminars. And within that, their skills are staying on topic, organizing their thoughts, and expressing their practicing their speaking skills, which translates to all this great writing that we've seen in the classroom. Melissa mentioned their end of unit task today where they wrote beginning, middle, end. Each student in Sarah's class also came up to the front of the room, used the teacher microphone, presented their own story, and read the 3 sentences. This is in kindergarten. And just to see their confidence grow from September to now they're like, oh, give me that microphone. And in September, we're like, one of the speaking skills is to speak with volume, not too loud, not too quietly, so that everyone in the room can hear you. And now, I mean, you rarely have to say that. They're so proud of their work, and that has been one of just the best things about being part of this pilot.
I'm Maria Haynes. I'm another kindergarten teacher at Morocco School. One of the things that we've noticed with the curriculum is it's cross-curricular. They are making connections in every part of our academic day. For example, we studied the painting, an apple painting of Paul Cézanne at the very beginning of the year. And my class walked into the art room, and the art teacher had a different painting by the same artist on the wall. They were going to talk about it. They were working on still lifes. And my students knew who the painter was. They were like, that's Paul Cézanne. She goes, how do you know this? It wasn't just one, it was a handful of children. And we were learning about that in arts and letters. So the connections they're making, the critical thinking skills, the questions, one of the pieces is noticing and wondering. They notice and wonder everywhere they go now, which is amazing. The librarian said their questions that they have, or the things that they notice about text is just amazing. And the comments that they make about the stories they're reading, they're just so much deeper than I've ever seen before. So we're noticing throughout the entire day those speaking, listening goals being demonstrated everywhere they go. And people are noticing it as well. The SEL teacher said, I can't believe how well they can turn and talk to each other. When did you teach? They don't usually know this so well, and they stay on topic. And I said, we do this every day in arts and letters. But I can say, turn and talk to your rug partner during math, and they do the same thing. They're turning and they're on topic. Which again is amazing for anyone, but especially kindergartners. So we have seen so many wonderful things this year. And also just our excitement as teachers, we love teaching this program. Some lessons learned, of course, we've had some bumps. One of the things that we have learned that it was essential for us to plan together as a team. And work through the tricky parts. At first, it was hard. I mean, it's still hard. Melissa says all the time, it's a humbling experience to be a teacher for as many years as I've been. We don't need to talk about that. But it was starting over and learning a whole new program that was tricky to learn and to manage. And we did it as a team, and I feel like that's why we've been so successful. We could lean on each other. We open the door and peek in and, oh, you're there too, okay, or you're as behind as I am, or yeah, we're on track, or just to support each other. It's been really nice.
I feel like the kids will go home and say, they check on it. I mean, I'll say, hang on 1 second, and you rip the door open. Okay, good, Ms. Cummings and Mrs. Haynes, we check to make sure.
I just think too, you're always learning new things, and sometimes students don't realize that as adults we are still learning. So I keep saying to them and reminding them, this is new for me too, I'm learning too. Or, oh, yesterday I completely made a mistake with that chart. We're going to do it again because I made a mistake. My brain is still growing and learning. So I think it was a great opportunity for the students to see that we are learners as well. Going to pass it back to,
sorry. No, you're good. And with the learning, and Leslie went to this too, one other thing on the lessons learned, we also, as much as we are raving about what they are able to do, we are all very cognizant too of our little people. I have a famous saying that we have clothes and shoes older than our children that we teach. And so we are dig our heels in on our 5-year-olds, and we still have made it very clear we have to keep it developmentally appropriate. So with that said, our scheduling is very important to us. So moving forward, we have to be very careful that we definitely want to keep this very appropriate, but that we have to make sure we maintain time for that, what's still very appropriate for them. So we have been very careful that we are so careful with our pilot time, but there's still a lot of play for them because they work very hard and are so invested, but they still get their play time and what they really need as 5-year-olds because, man, they are taking in a lot and loving it. So that's one thing moving forward with our scheduling, that we want to make sure we're making sure that time is still balanced for that important play that they definitely need, because we don't want to wipe them out so much that we want Junior SG to still be so important to them next year too. So making sure that all that is still kept in mind for next year moving forward too. And that cognitive downtime, which I think one of the reasons they are so invested is they do get that downtime and they are able to kind of maintain other important parts of the school day, which I think as much as we have been so invested and enthusiastic, we have been able to maintain this year too, which was great. So that was just something else. And then we just have some pictures so people can kind of see it in action a little bit. And some of their quotes. Could take a peek.
There's one more that has the books on the next one.
And the next one has some of the books. There's Junius with his potatoes. Everyone. And like someone mentioned about learning, same. There's some of the texts are really pretty interesting about some history. No, there's really some historical people we didn't know about. A lot of nonfiction.
She was a real person, and we all know how to grow potatoes.
Yes, we're growing some right now, actually.
Yeah, we've become urban farmers.
Yes.
At Morocco School. We have potatoes, we have pumpkins.
Yep. There is a lot of nonfiction, so that's been really great. So. Okay. 5th grade.
Hi, my name is Carly Musto. I teach 5th grade at Ambrose. And I feel like we're probably going to repeat a lot of what was already said because we totally agree with everything that our co-piloters have said. We agree that I feel like our classroom community has grown more than it ever has through this shared knowledge. Similar to what others were saying, we have students talking about these books at recess, at the dinner table, at conferences last week. I had so many parents say, we've never talked about this book or whatever book that my kid's reading as much as we have this year. And it's nice we stay on the same topic for 2 months or so, and so every night at dinner they're talking about the rescue of the Thai boys soccer team from the cave in 2018. That's what our book is about. And so that was just coming up all of the time, which is really lovely. Similar to what a lot of people said, the structured writing, we have seen growth in writing that has made our students so ready for middle school, much more than we've seen in the past. I had a student tell me that he never understood how to write a conclusion paragraph before, but now it all makes sense, which is such a nice win. Oh, I get it now. That's so easy. But we've seen so many opportunities for collaboration and shared experiences. All of the conversations that they've been having, a lot of the speaking and listening goals are really reinforced, and they're doing a really good job. I don't know what else you have to say.
Yeah, just to add on, they feel very competent. It's a really cohesive experience. Everyone is getting the same information, we can share. The discourse is great because everyone's sharing different perspectives, and so students are learning to kind of respectfully agree and disagree. And then their writing is very strong. Like they're able to not only speak clearly, but actually write clearly, which is a little bit different than years past.
I'm Rebecca Deaconess, and I'm the special education teacher at Ambrose for grade 5. And one of the really valuable things I think from this program is that all students, like everyone has said, are receiving what they need, but our classroom has students on IEPs, students who are multilingual learners, and there's just so many natural supports embedded in the program, like oral rehearsal, the graphic organizers that exist in the student learn books. And so everyone has the opportunity, especially in writing, to take it to whatever degree they want to. So students who are already feeling successful in their writing can take it further and add additional paragraphs. We've had students who are coming saying, can I make it longer? Like, I know I did the basic requirement, but I have more ideas. I want to go further, which has been great. And then those students who don't feel confident in writing, they have a platform to start from. So we do so much evidence building, evidence finding beforehand that when it comes time for the writing process, they have all of the material, so they don't feel like they're staring at a blank page to begin with. They realize like, oh, I've already done all of the heavy lifting and the hard work. And there's this wonderful painted essay format that starts in 3rd grade and continues throughout. And we've seen success this year, and so it's just hard to imagine by the time these students come in a couple years, having had that exposure already, where their writing will be at that point in time. So it's been really helpful for all students.
I'm Mary Coogan. I co-teach with Rebecca Deaconess. And like she mentioned, we do have a very diverse population of students in our class in terms of IEPs, special education, multi-language learners. And we've just seen really, you know, this is kind of naming everything that everyone already said, but I think you can see that there's a common thread here. Another little piece that we've noticed in 5th grade that's always been a challenge, something that we've grappled with in the past, is the kids just love to fly through a novel and not really, you know, dig deep or think critically. In the way, I think in the last slide you saw that book with all the tabs sticking out and the annotating. We'll read a piece and then come back and spend so much time on like re-examining, and that has really taught the critical thinking skills that I think has been really difficult for us to get to in the past. So just noticing how clever this program is in terms of all the pieces coming together. And trust us, it took time. Like at first, it was a little bit like, what is this? What exactly are we doing here? You know, it takes about a month to see the light. In even we questioned everything. Are the kids going to really like this book? This looks like a textbook. They would never pick this up. You know, and it has really proved us wrong along the way. Another piece of this is just the multimodal ways of, you know, so we've read about that Thai cave rescue from 2018. Some of you might remember seeing that on the news. But we also learned all about the Karst Cave, and so we're watching a TED Talk about, you know, cave diving. We're reading about limestone and how the water sinks through it, and that's how it flooded. So just in terms of building knowledge, and I think you mentioned that in kindergarten as well, I think we've taken a lot away from it as adults in the process too. Yeah. So just all overall positive experience.
One thing, I remember thinking, and you probably have this too, sorry.
It's okay.
No, I remember, didn't you think like you probably wouldn't want to read over and over again, and you probably thought your kids wouldn't?
Yes.
And I know people visiting thought that would be a problem. And I'm sure you realize like you're so invested over and over, and it sounds like for even 5th graders, that was something that became not a problem. The repetitive reading is what, even for little ones, is what makes the investment, I think.
And it does a really good job of taking what might feel kind of obscure, like a karst cave, and making it a universal. You know, it's emphasizing cultures and communities, and that's been the connections that students are making for the shared experiences is really nice.
One thing that was interesting too that came up in the student surveys was when CES came to visit our classrooms, there was a question, do you enjoy literacy? And I mean, in 5th grade, it's not really socially appropriate for everyone to be like, I enjoy literacy. And everyone's like, no. And then the next question was, are you learning? Do you feel like you're learning from this program? And without a doubt, like everyone's like, oh yeah, I feel like I'm learning so much. And so it was really funny for all of us as adults to see like, they might not outwardly be expressing like, I enjoy this, but do they feel like they're gaining from this program? And everyone like fully endorsed the fact that yes, I'm learning a lot here.
There's a lot of aha moments from the students. Like a student said, "Oh, I cracked the code." There's a lot of those like every day. I'm like, "Oh, neat! Like another one." So, yeah.
So, I think we're about to move on to a new section. Is that so? I just want to pause us for a second. We had 2 student representatives, but the other one had to leave. I realized with with the very funny structure of the meeting and the reorganization tonight, normally we'd have a student report. So Ingo, if you do have work to do, you can certainly feel free to go. But if you wanted to take a couple of minutes, you usually share some updates. I don't want to disrespect your time, but I get the sense that you guys might need to head back and do some homework and things. So if you have anything you wanted to share for tonight, happy to do that for 2 minutes now, and then you don't need to feel free to. You can feel free
get to
to
jump the
go
line.
for the remainder of the
Okay.
meeting. So
I'll
sorry,
just-
many educator friends, but
I can just quickly share then.
that's great. Thanks. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Life at the WHS has been going smoothly as we approach the end of quarter 3, which is April 10th. And we want to congratulate the Winchester High School Model UN team. They attended 5 conferences this year, traveling as far as Washington, D.C. and New York City, and brought home 11 awards. The class of 2027 will host its class dance tomorrow in the Dining Commons. In addition, WHS Royals will take place on Sunday, March 29th at 7 p.m. in the auditorium. The entry fee is $20. The WHS PFA's 7th annual Senior Banner Drive is now underway, continuing a valued tradition that celebrates our seniors. Finally, seniors interested in pursuing education-related studies in college are encouraged to apply for the Winchester Education Association Scholarship, which is due on April 20th.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ingo. And feel free to go. It's no offense to anyone if you need to get back to your work. So thank you all for your patience.
Thank
It
you.
was not on our agenda for tonight, but I saw you were prepared, and so I wanted to
Now
get
you know
you a
all
chance
about
to do
arts
that.
and letters.
So Ingo Lee, Winchester High School junior, amazing representative of the community. So thanks so much. All right, back to you.
Hi, I'm Jen Duma, and I'm a literacy coach at Lincoln and a former 5th grade teacher at Morocco. So I'm having a moment right now. I'm like, last year I was here so excited I got to bring EL and Arts and Letters and share with you that we made those 2 choices for the pilot and where we were going with it. And I remember sitting here letting you know that I was so eager to see Arts and Letters because it was the only program that I'd ever heard of or curriculum that was universally designed. And I'm sitting here tonight just hearing how important that has been, and I'll get emotional for each and every piloteer and person helping out. It's resonating, so I'm so excited. But I've been part of this process for 2 or more years, a member of the ELT, a facilitator of grade level meetings, many of them, a co-teacher, a classroom visitor, and a learner alongside our piloteers. And I wanted to share 3 of many positive moments that I've witnessed this year. Genuinely, it makes me proud to be part of this process and this change for Winchester. The first thing that we haven't talked about yet is grade level meetings. So in the past, there were places where we came together as a grade level and we received information or completed a task together. But this year, something seems to have shifted, and I've felt the change each month. There's been more of a shift. We've really done some intentional planning, which was informed by teacher feedback. The facilitation has been grounded in adult learning theory and collaborative protocols. So we have tried, Melissa's done a great job looking at both curriculums and pulling out a protocol that we would ask the students to do so that we are doing them as teachers, and for both programs. We've spent a lot of time on understanding the why behind a knowledge building approach and honoring the experiences everyone was having, past, present, piloteers, non-piloteers, and making it really collaborative. And so what I noticed in this shift is that the piloteers in the last 4 or 5 meetings have become the leaders. They are the leaders of these meetings. They are coaching their counterparts who aren't piloting and letting them know, Melissa, last time you were like, it's okay, it's going to be okay, and volunteering to spread themselves thinner by saying, I'll help you next year. We got this as a team. And as the literacy team facilitating, have been able to step back as they've taken the lead. And I think that's a happy accident of how this all came about. So that's why our piloteers are just a source of such strength. And I don't think we would have had that if we didn't do a year-long pilot. So that has been a huge culture shift. And then I have a whole section on universal design, which you now know about and heard about. But I've been aware about it, for over 20 years. And I've been part of teams of teachers who have worked tirelessly to design universally for our students. And this, being able to watch arts and letters come alive has totally opened my eyes to what it means to embed universal design. I keep thinking about that, the illustration of the three people who are looking over the fence at the baseball game, and they have their boxes, and they have enough boxes to see over the fence. And I keep thinking about arts and letters takes the fence down. You don't need to hand out boxes, and that's what we've done in the past. We've really worked hard to give you this and give you this, but this is embedded where I'll share, I walked into a 4th grade classroom, and I was there to help support, because Nicole was in another one, the module assessment. And I walked in, and everybody was participating and doing their role independently. And it took me a minute to start to think, how does this look different than, I'm feeling like a difference here than I usually feel, and why? What is different? And I realized no one was at another part of the classroom getting something different so that they could express what they know. Everyone was on a Chromebook with their headphones. They could all record themselves for fluency and have multiple opportunities, whatever they needed. They had their articles on the screen, so you had ways to make it bigger, smaller. Students were able to have it read to them, and not everyone knew. Nicole had access to turn on accommodations, and the students had control over those accommodations. They could use voice to text if they needed to. So this was a whole different experience of taking down that fence, because they could do this independently. They didn't need a teacher with them to express what they knew. And this is what I know we've all wanted and been working towards, and I saw it, which is really cool. And then finally, that this work takes time. And I know at times we've all wanted to speed up the process, or felt a little uncomfortable with going so slow now that we know. But that to effectively put this program together and come together, we need to go slow to go fast. I think we talked about that last year. And Arts and Letters talks about how their first module is built that way. So you're going slow, learning those protocols, so that you can go fast and in kindergarten tell a story with the beginning, middle, and end. And so I think that by trusting our piloteers, investing in the why, and building this community that we've really started to see more of a professional learning community, Winchester is doing this the right way, and it makes me really proud to be part of that.
All right, so we've done a lot of professional development this year. We have launched EL and Arts and Letters with our vendor. We have trained our K-3 educators on administering.
Since a lot of our educators are leaving us, thank you I totally.
Science fair.
Yes, I understand, but we thank you so much. I feel bad for the others that didn't get to hear this, but on behalf of the committee, thank you so much for your work, for coming to present to us, and good luck for those of you at Morocco at the Science Fair.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and have a good night. Sorry, Melissa. It's okay. We lost 2 other groups. I was like, oh.
So we've done professional development on the DIBELS M-Class administration for all K-3 educators, both with the vendor and internally with our literacy team. We've launched the UFly Project Reportal for our K-2 educators who can see data in real time from their UFly instruction. It will give them lessons and guidance around how to remediate for students immediately in the next week. We've, as Jen mentioned, used almost all of our grade level meetings with a literacy focus. So I joined less than a year ago, and I've taken almost all of the elementary time for professional learning this year, and I think if you hear from the teachers, that's been okay. We've had classroom visits, so leadership visited classrooms facilitated by both Arts and Letters and EL. Piloteers visited teammates. We had 260 attendances of visitors across schools, which was no small feat. We had college kids subbing. We had our administrative assistants figuring out coverage on the daily. We had teachers reading lessons in advance of going to see them in practice, thoughtfully debriefing after, filling out feedback about how it went, that went to CES. And so I think those were really integral in getting everyone to see it in action. We've had teaching PD for Arts and Letters and EL, both with the vendor, on how to refine the practices once they've been in it a little bit. We've done module unpacking at every module, and we'll continue to do that work for the 4th module for our teachers who get there this year. Those have been led by our literacy team internally based on the model of the vendors. We've had faculty meeting where we did an explore board with both programs. Our leaders have been leading, Laurie and Ella, the Shifting the Balance grade 3 to 5 book study to help our educators get prepared for a shift to knowledge building. We have ongoing planning with the pilot materials, and so those have been going with the teams and will continue for the rest of the year. And then we brought back Dr. Stephanie Grimaldi for March, and she followed up on the initial part of the Science of Reading PD and moving us towards a knowledge building curriculum, which had great feedback from all of our educators who attended. So as you can see, we've had a very busy literacy year, piloting and growing and learning alongside one another. And that's just the beginning.
And we are looking forward to taking all the lessons that we learned and planning very thoughtfully, mindfully, what next year will look like as we take this small pilot and scale it up to the K through 5. So we're excited because we have the support, we have the teams who are eager to share their experiences with one another. So we are set up for success. And I just want to stop and say that having Melissa on our team this year has been nothing but exceptional. She has been working so much behind the scenes, orchestrating all of this to make it happen, and she makes it look so easy. So thank you.
Thank you.
Oh yes, she's getting used to these rounds of applause.
And they make me turn red. But we still have quite a bit of work to do. And so as you can see, we have 3 grade level meetings left for this year. We will be working with Arts and Letters and the ELT 2.0 and the literacy team to plan those. But we will be looking at the Arts and Letters lessons, getting our educators ready so that when we have professional development at the end of the school year in June, they feel like they've got a little bit of understanding to enter that PD. So as you can see, we have 3 of those. We will be opening classrooms again so that all educators can go see the piloteer classrooms for Arts and Letters specifically in action, because before their lens was how do these compare and how will they fit. Now they know that we're going in this direction. They're going to start be thinking about how does this look in my classroom when I implement this next year. And then we also have coaching specific PD in June that we're hoping to do with our literacy team so that they can help support educators on their journey. On the final PD day, we have a variety of PD offerings planned. So all educators will get an intro to Arts and Letters as well as time to unpack the first module and lesson plan. And that will be differentiated by grade level so that they're getting time with their specific grade level teams and planning guidance from Arts and Letters directly around how to support those grade levels. Our piloteers need something a little bit different. They've done that work. And so our hope is that on that same day, our piloteers from grades K to 2 will learn how to use a new resource that we did not have access to this year. So they'll be focused on using geodes, and then the afternoon will be deepening their learning to support all learners. Our piloteers in grades 3 to 5 will have a different focus, also from arts and letters. They will focus on writing and then also supporting all learners. There are geodes for grade 3, but arts and letters PD model to deliver that doesn't fit with this day or this structure, so we're going to offer that at a different time. So our hope is that we have a variety of options for all our educators to get professional learning that will support them where they're at. We will also be taking into consideration that our EL piloteers went through an entire year of professional development and learning with a new program. They will be better poised, we believe, to take on arts and letters, but it will still be a new program to them. And so we're working with the vendors to see how do we help like merge that, because they'll have a little bit more knowledge to start with. And that is just the tip of the iceberg. In August, presumably we'll have some new teachers who will come on board. They will need professional development. As we did last year, our hope is that we will be able to provide a refresher PD for all educators in terms of a half day so that they feel ready to hit the ground running and teach students using these new materials. In October, we'll have a check-in with arts and letters with our leaders. We're hoping to do that same Teach PD that we offered to teachers this year. The feedback about that was phenomenal from arts and letters, and so our teachers really valued that. We want to offer that to all teachers who are implementing next year. And then ongoing module unpacking. They will offer virtual learning sessions for teachers who need it. This year they were very responsive and had a Q&A. So anytime a teacher had a question, they populated it into a document, and within every week they checked that and responded to teachers' questions. So arts and letters were super responsive in that way. And then as a district and ELT, we'll continue to think about what do grade level meetings look like to continue to grow both our pilot educators, who will be slightly ahead of the curve, and all of our implementing educators. And we do still have some next steps, as if that didn't sound like enough. We need to figure out our assessments for next year, now that we know which program we're using and the tools that we have in terms of M-Class and some of our other assessments. Do we have the right suite of assessments to drive instruction, to progress monitor, to screen? So ELT 2.0, the literacy team, and the school leaders, we're all working together to figure out what that looks like for next year for all our students, K to 5. And then we'll also be thinking about some guidance for differentiation. So unlike EL, Arts and Letters does not provide any guidance for the second hour of differentiated literacy instruction. So in Winchester, we're going to call that the Literacy Lab block, or the Lit Lab. Every grade will have an hour of that, and what will happen in that grade will vary depending on the grade, but that's where our differentiation will happen. Arts and Letters offers a prologue lesson for multilingual students or students with IEPs or any student with needing language support, so that will be an opportunity for that to be delivered. Small group, independent reading, book clubs, fluency practice, U-Fly reteaching, word study, word work, all of that will happen where students are in that differentiation block, which we're calling Lit Lab. So thank you. So we still have work to do, but again, ELT 2.0, the literacy team, and the leaders are all working to figure out how does this support our teachers for next year, give them some guidance around what that should look like, without also overwhelming them as they launch an entire new program. So we'll be building off of the wonderful things they're already doing. And then Laurie and I will be back on the circuit tour, we like to call it. We'll be visiting each school for caregiver coffees to teach families and caregivers about the new program, what it involves, what they might be seeing when their children come home next year. We'll also have a webinar one evening to be determined to sort of help families get ready. And then again, as needed, we'll repeat that in the fall.